The time is now. They gon' love me for my ambition. Easy to dream a dream, but what's harder to live?
What's up, dude? What is it, episode
Not
16?
much, man. Yeah, man. I need a haircut, bro.
Bro,
It's rough.
you and me both.
It's rough out here. Or at least a lineup or something.
Man.
At least you can do a little comb over and stuff, man.
Right, mine can hide it, but I get poofy on the sides right here. I gotta push them
Okay.
down.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
You're funny.
Man. Oh, what's new with you, man?
Man. You always want to say not a whole lot. Not a whole lot, but a lot at the same time, if that makes any type of sense. Not a whole lot not a whole lot has changed. Nothing crazy, but yeah, man, just a lot just in, continuously understanding my leadership, continuously understanding the business that I'm in, and continue understanding how to put boundaries around everything in order to be the best, husband and father I can be, as well as, manager and leader at work. So
Right.
yeah, man, it's been interesting the past week, but we here, we alive, we making it, and we still pushing, man. So just trying to move in the right direction.
Yeah. Is right now your guys' busy time? Like, is this peak for you guys?
I don't know, man, because it's hit or miss. The extra funds that come from the government and everything has definitely not allowed, I think, many businesses to understand where they really sit at this year, because at the beginning of the year, and we didn't have a horrible winter, but I think a lot of businesses, including ourselves, we did fairly well. But at that time, there was a lot of extra income that was coming in, and now as that's starting to die down some, people are trying to figure out what's the norm, right? Because summertime, in my opinion, would be our busy time because it's hot, something cool and refreshing that you want to drink, and from late spring all the way through late fall typically is our hot spot, I would say. And then wintertime should be when it dies off, but we kicked butt last winter, so it's just like I don't know. We'll have to see.
I wonder if it has to do with you guys' business models so based around the drive-through, and people are, in the winter, they don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just quick and easy, go through, get it. It's a healthy option. And I know for me, like, wintertime rolls around, all the holidays, I'm like not feeling too hot about myself anyway, so I'd be in there getting a smoothie, makes sense. But cool, man. Yeah, right now.
What about you, bro?
It's been, let's see, it's end of August. So from what I've been told, this is like our busiest time of the year. So from now through end of September is kind of peak for us. And it's definitely busy. It's been really busy the last couple of weeks, but I think it was busier before school started. And now that, parents and stuff are getting back in their routine, kids are back to school, life gets busy again. So, I don't know. I feel like we're starting to adjust a little bit now. A lot of schools have started, but it's still busy, because a lot of things that, like we talked before, like anything you put under contract this month goes into next month. So I think that's why these 2 months are so busy. Yeah. But it's been good, man. Real estate's been really busy. It's been good. Some exciting stuff that I'm working on for that, just because there's so much to do. And then Emily's starting the back to basics baking stuff. We're trying to get things
I see y'all have labels now.
Yeah, man, we got labels.
Super dope.
We got boxes, we got bags, we've got business cards on the way. Everything should be in end of this week. So
nice.
It'll be dope. So we can start to get some things going. We're going to do like a giveaway soon, get some interactions built on Facebook, giveaway, like the page, share this post, be entered to win. And then there's this other baker down in Canton, little plug. It was called Not Your Basic Batch, which is really clever. She has some really cool stuff too. And I was looking, and the way that she accepts orders and stuff, it's through like a Google Doc form they fill out, and it looked really clean. So I think that's something we're gonna try and do. And I don't know, man. It's exciting though. Get some things
Yeah,
rolling.
man.
Be cool.
No, for
Busy.
sure.
But
For sure, for sure.
yeah, man. But cool. What do you want to talk about today?
Man, I think shoot, what did you mention? You just mentioned before we hopped on.
Um, um, oh, showing up.
Showing
Showing
up.
up.
Showing up and
Being there.
showing out. No, that's
Yeah,
bad.
we had a sales meeting on Tuesday, and that was actually it was a topic that my dad had brought up because talking about especially in I don't know entrepreneurship and when you don't really have anybody that you have to quote unquote report to or like a time that you have to show up to work by and things like that, it can get difficult to show up because you can get lazy, and you
Yep.
become content. You're like, well, I'm doing all right. I don't need to do all that right now. I'm okay. But that's what separates the good from the best, and the best and the ones that really succeed and thrive are the ones that show up every day. They're the ones
Yep.
that are disciplined and they continue to show in and show out. So it was a good point, and I think it's always needed because I don't know a single person that's always at 100, all the time. So it's nice to kind of have that little push, that little reminder, like, I could be here more. You can do more.
Yeah.
So, and I know at Planet too, it's the same thing. Regardless of industry, like showing up, it's not always easy, but you
Yeah.
gotta do it.
Yeah. And I think the true showing up is when you don't have to, but you do anyways.
True.
Because there's a lot of times. I mean, you could be mediocre. You could, but I could get this done today, or
Mm-hmm.
I could do some extra training with this person today. But it's a chill day. Let's just all just relax and chill. I'm actually gonna look at this quote I had screenshot the other day. I said you can't expect to succeed if you only plan on if you only put in work on the days you feel like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So I think it's just one of those things, just a constant reminder, like you said, just gotta show up every single time.
Right.
Show up every single time, man, and just I think, like I said, I think it's one thing to show up, but then I think it's another thing to show up and give it your all.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
I mean, you probably noticed you could pop up and show up at the office. That don't mean you get no work done.
Right. I could show up here and be on Facebook all day, not doing nothing.
Exactly.
But no, you're right. And I think it's funny. I was watching the Lego 2 movie last night, and there was a couple things that like I was thinking about because there was some leadership points in it at one point where what was the guy's name? The main Lego guy, Chris Pratt in the movie. I forget what his character is, and he's kind of nobody follows him. Nobody really listens to what he says. He's kind of dumb, whatever. And it took him to continue to show up. He didn't give up. He kept going. He set out for what he was going to do, and he kept going, and he did it alone. And there was
Yeah.
nobody with him. And, I think it was a good point to you see those things where it's like you hustle in silence, but people always see the reward. And it's exactly what it was. He's out there doing his thing. Nobody noticed, nobody cares until they see you be successful, whatever
Yeah.
that may be. And then, that's when everything comes. And it's like, oh, well, you had all the help, or, oh, that's when all the excuses come. But I just think it's interesting. They go into each other. You got to show up to do it, even if it is by yourself.
Yep. And how do you think it works with the showing up in the grind culture, right? Because I think sometimes people can take it either way, and I think the approach that we're going at is just simply showing up and giving your best every single day, right?
Right.
But I think a lot of people, when you say show up, it's like, okay, well, where's the boundary? Where's the rest time or the relax time? And I don't think that we're trying to say that neither one of those shouldn't exist, because they should. But how do you think sometimes when we say show up, how people are translating that to that grind culture?
Yeah, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit actually, because I don't always think that the grind culture is a positive thing when it's not done right. And I think we've already kind of mentioned this earlier already, but just like you said, you can show up and not do anything. I think a lot of people say, they open their laptop and they open all the tabs that they need. They take a picture of it and they post it on Instagram. They're like, oh, out here grinding, doing what I
Yep.
gotta do. But then they close it, and I don't know. I feel like people develop this sense of accomplishment and the sense of success just from doing the act and being busy, but not actually being productive.
Yep.
And I think that defeats the purpose of grind culture. You can be out here grinding, but it's only grinding if you're moving forward.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're wasting time. Otherwise, that is the time that you should be relaxing, enjoying time with friends and family, doing what you got to do. Is when you catch yourself, you know what, I'm spent, I'm burnt, I'm not being as productive as I should be. Yeah, I'm gonna call it quits, pick it up tomorrow. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's not that you're not a part of grind culture now. It's just that you're doing it the right way. So I think people do get it twisted though. I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting at the coffee shop and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go do X, Y, and Z. And I sit there, I'm 2 cups of coffee deep, and maybe I did one of the 3 things that I wanted to do. And it was successful at that point in time because I got at least one thing done. But when I'm done with that one thing and I've noticed I'm just sitting there looking up random stuff and on Facebook, it's like, okay, I'm not grinding no more. It's time for me to go home, take my caffeinated bow home.
No, man, no, most definitely. So let me ask you this. So what does showing up look like for you for right now in your day-to-day? What does showing up look like for you?
Communication. I mean, that's the best way to sum it up. The amount of times that I've had clients tell me, yeah, I was talking to another agent at one point. I told them I was interested in this property and they just never got back to me. Or I tried reaching out to this agent, I left them 2-3 voicemails and they just never called me back. So showing up is communicating every day. The clients that you haven't talked to in a month, it's sending that message or making that phone call once a month just to check in, see how things are going, just to make yourself available. That's showing up. And then as requests come in, it's being prompt, it's being available, it's serving your clients. I mean, that's really all our job is, to be honest with you. They ask a question, you find the answer, and it's a really simple transaction. It really is. It's not that complicated, and it's just being present is what people are looking for. So yeah, I mean, I think best way to sum it up is just communication. Hey, my dad told me that at the end of every day you should be reflecting on it and saying and thinking about how many people that I talked to about real estate today. And if you end a day and you're thinking and you're like, didn't talk to anybody about real estate today, that wasn't a good day. So it all boils down to communication.
I like that.
What about you though?
Man, I think showing up for me right now looks like one, like you said, I think a big piece of it is communication. But then I think a bigger thing is showing up is just being intentional with my day. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of moving pieces, right? So Tuesdays right now are typically my admin day, right? But within my admin day, there's so many different things to check on, right? I need to check on labor. I need to check on food costs. I need to check on people's schedules, things like that. So there's a lot to check. But that's where I think it goes back to what you said, the intentionality and communication is what did that look like during that day, right? Did I actually show up or did I just check, right? There's some days, man, where it's a checkbox for sure. Everything is just, all right, cool, check this, did this report, did this report, did this report. But I think in order for it to be considered showing up, I think it has to be moving something forward, right? Or at least moving in the right direction. Okay, because I moving forward sometimes it's kind of hard because there's some days where you're doing things just to maintain, and that's fine, that's fair. But it should still be moving in the right direction. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, man. Like showing up, man. another part of that, because I see people every day. A big thing about showing up is bringing passion, right? No matter what kind of morning I had, no matter what kind of week I've had, like my people will never get less than best from me, right? One, because they deserve my best. Now, if you did something wrong, you still deserve my best, but you deserve my best accountability. But you deserve my best, and so I think that's another thing that, just to go off on a side note, that I've noticed a lot when people show up. I don't know if they're fully present when showing up, because, like I said, just showing up just to say I'm here, right? It's just that's the first checkbox, right? But I think showing up starts here first, right? And then it's the physical going or being somewhere. But to show up, you got to make up your mind first that you're actually going to show up, be present, and go from there.
Bro, I've been feeling that so much lately. Like, there's been some mornings where I'm just like dog tired and like not feeling it. I'm on my way to the office, and I know, what it's going to be like when I get there. I'm going to open the door. There's going to be, agents and staff here already, and they're going to want to talk to me and like all this stuff. And like, because I'm already so beat, I'm like, I'm just not having it. And I'm already putting myself mentally in this bad attitude and this negative energy, before I even walk in the door. I'm already deciding that that's what I'm going to be like. So lately I've been recognizing it, and it's like, no, this is how I feel right now. But when I get there, I'm going to put a smile on. I'm going to have these conversations. I'm going to talk, and I'm going to go to the office and do what I got to do. And like, it's like a new part of the day starts when I walk through those doors, and it's going to be different. But I have to decide to do that mentally before I actually get there in order for it to happen. I'll tell you right now, I'm not good at hiding it too, and it'll show on my face so bad. So it's like, you have to be conscious of that stuff, man.
Now, how do you find the balance that, or what boundaries do you create around that? Like I said, I'm really trying to switch this balance to the boundaries, but how do you create boundaries around it? Because, I'll talk to some of my leaders or just talk to some people in general. And when we're talking about, showing up, leaving your problems at the door, putting a smile on your face, right? The first thing says, so you want me to be fake? And it's like, that's not what I want, right? I don't want it to be fake. I do want it to be natural. I want it to be sincere. At the same time, though, how do you balance that? How do you, because it's hard from my perspective, because me, I'm just overall a happy, jolly guy. That's just how I am.
Yeah.
And I typically don't let too much bother me. And if it does, I've learned just to compartmentalize it and present it at a different time or talk about it at a different time.
Right.
So maybe that's the answer to the question. Has to be the time and the place, right? I don't know, but kind of walk me through that. What you think about that? What's the difference between showing up and being what you need to be versus what people would consider fake?
I think it's a disconnect from what's up here to what's going on right here. I think when you decide how you're going to be prior to being there, it is genuine because it's still you. You're deciding, I'm not going to let this negative attitude affect me. I'm going to go in, I'm going to be the best leader. I'm going to be the best, producer that I can be while I'm there. I'm going to be present. And when you make that decision mentally and you're thinking through that mentally and you're doing these mental reps, right? You're thinking through like, this is what it's going to be like when I get there. This is how I'm going to respond, versus the negative reaction. I think that right there, subconsciously, you're already deciding, and that allows it to be a genuine response though too. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're there, you're still being you. I think what feels fake and what feels like you can tell like when things aren't aligning, right? My heart feels this, but I'm actually saying this. And I think that's when somebody says, well, it's not genuine. It's because you're still negative up here. And that's why what's coming out here doesn't feel right, because you haven't decided to change what's going on up here first. That's always been true for me. I know when I'm in a bad mood and I'm still trying to act happy because my face still shows me in a bad mood. My thoughts are still in a bad mood, and I'm just trying to get through the day by speaking, positivity. But even though it's not affecting, or it's not coming across the way that I intend for it to, because everything else in my being is still on the opposite end. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Um, so I think that's what it boils down to. It's even if it's, hey, I gotta sit in my car for 5 extra minutes before I go in because I need to mentally get ready and I need to mentally put myself where I need to be. Do that, and
Yeah.
take that extra time. But yeah, I think it is awkward. It's not genuine. You feel dirty. You feel bad when things aren't aligning. So
Yeah. No, I think that's perfect. A couple of things that you said. One, I think anybody that's out there, you're a power lifter, or you like lifting weights. I think BD just gave you a perfect name for either your podcast or your social media page called Mental Reps.
mental reps.
One, I think, yep, fire right there.
Mhm.
But then two, the biggest thing that you brought up is alignment from here to here. And I think that hits it right on the nail, man. When you're trying to show up, there needs to be alignment across the board, and that starts with your mind first, and then flows through what you say, how you act, and how you participate in the day. But yeah, man, like you said, now that you said it, man, it makes so much sense, and I think that's the biggest thing for people is saying fake just means they just don't believe what they're trying to think in their mind.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because it is easier. It is easier to look pissed off. It is easier just to not show up and be passionate. It is easier. It does take a lot more work to put your mind through. Okay, I know today's gonna be rough. I know we're short staffed. I know we're short handed. But how am I going to show up?
Right.
And man, we talk about this all the time, and I've been talking about this with my leaders lately. Is showing up, right? You're either the thermometer or you're the thermostat, right? The
Mhm.
thermometer tells the temperature of the room, so you're affected by everything that's going on. The thermostat sets it, right? And so when you
Right.
show up, your mind your mind has to be that thermostat that's setting it and going, all right, cool. This is how the day is going to go.
Mhm.
Now, I think the issue that a lot of people run into is they might prepare their mind for the worst, and it gets even worse during that day.
True.
Then I think you have to once again just align yourself again, where maybe you do have to step away for a second. That's okay,
Yep.
right? Because showing up doesn't mean that you just push through just to push through.
No.
Like yeah, you have to realize so many people are so much more observant than we give them credit for.
Mhm.
People see it now. That's the beautiful part about doing what you do, right? Is it's just you in your office sometimes, right? And so sometimes you can hide behind some of those things,
Yeah.
but I guarantee you, your clients can tell when they had a conversation when y'all first met versus the conversation that y'all having today, and they can tell, okay, well, yeah, he still helped me find somewhere, but I don't feel like he's all,
I don't really think he
they
wants
can
to
tell
though, but
exactly. I just think he want my money.
uh no, you're right though. And I think it's hard too because people will, I think the argument that somebody would have to us right now is, well, I'm human and I have these feelings and sometimes I just need to express it, right? Yeah, you're right. Like I definitely agree with you on that. But then it's back to what you said. There's just a time and a place. And maybe it is, hey, mentally I prepare myself for this beginning of the day and I know I'm gonna have a break from this time to this time. And during that time when I sit in the office, maybe I can take that opportunity to vent or whatever it is that you do to de-stress and be human and feel what you gotta feel and get through what you gotta get through. But you have to designate that time specifically for that, because then you're right back to where you need to be. You know, it's not saying don't be human. It's just saying uh, be selective and be mindful of who's observing. You know,
Yeah,
and what effect is it going to have on those and the things around you?
yeah. And then what when you're talking about leadership, right? Leadership is influence,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you already have influence. So push and shove show up because of the influence that you have,
Right.
right? Um, yeah, man. No, it's like I said, it's just super duper interesting because I've been having this conversation a lot with both my actual leaders, the people that lead the stores, but then also those that are right under them. And you see sometimes, man, they're just there,
Hmm.
right? And I think this is the difference. The reason why I feel like you just need to go ahead and make it up in your mind that you're gonna show up is because, man, like if you don't show up, the day is about to be trash.
And you've already decided that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You've already decided, and like you're making it super duper trash. I'm like you said, I'm not saying that you can't be a human, that you can't have feelings. We all do. And I think that's why it's even important, and maybe we can talk about this for a second, is how do you handle your feelings, right? Do
Mm.
you go to therapy? Do you have somebody in your corner that you can talk to, right?
Right.
I know for a lot of things, for me, like, it sucks that, sometimes I have to wait till the end of the day, but like Cam, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm able to easily tell Cam how I feel and be able to say it exactly how it just comes out,
Yeah.
right? Without any judgment or anything like that. She might look at me crazy. I'm able to say exactly how it's supposed to be said.
Hmm.
Whether that's, you know, of course, a big one is prayer, talking to God,
Yeah.
right? But I also think that God works through people. So having somebody in your corner is huge. Whether that's writing down your reflections for the day. I just think we don't use those tools enough. And so we carry our emotions with us every single day, and there's no outlet for them.
Right. I
What
agree.
are, what are some outlets that you feel like that you use during those times that you're struggling, man? You're struggling to show up. How are you using? What tools are you using?
Man, truthfully, one of the biggest things I've noticed for me personally is sleep. Is a lot of times I'll recognize the way that I'm feeling, and not just mentally but physically too. And I'm just like, wow. Like
Yep.
at the end of it, I'm just straight up tired. I'm straight up tired.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like last night, like you text me, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I was asleep. I wasn't in bed. I was asleep at 9 o'clock last night.
Mm.
I slept over 10 hours last night. Okay, so like it wasn't like we could have shot last night in reality. Like we could
Yeah.
have, done a video last night, but I
I would have
knew.
said no too, though.
Oh,
I was trying to
bro,
get to bed early too, bro.
dude, I was done. I fell asleep. I lay down in bed, fell asleep from like 6:30 to 7, put the kids to bed, and then I was out by like 9 o'clock. But I knew I needed that too. Like I wasn't even upset. Like I was like, this is gonna be good. And today I woke up myself like so much
Yep.
better. So honestly, like that's been for me one of the biggest things to recognize. But other than that though, like if it's something heavy, and if it's like a thing that's I know is weighing on me, then just like you said, like friends and family, having that support system, and being able to vent. I'm a venter for sure. I gotta talk through it, and then once I talk through it, and I like to get other people's opinion. Truly, I know it's not always the best thing, but for me, like I see value in getting other people's opinions on the situation and like how would they handle it, and it helps me decide and be more confident too in like the decisions that I'm going to make moving forward, especially if it's a situation I've never dealt with before. I like to consult others, so um, that though for me provides a lot of guidance, like in a lot of what's the word, like comfort.
Mhm.
So what about you? Oh, I mean, you said you got Cam, so
Yeah, no, yeah. Cam was a huge piece, man. I've been trying to be more intentional with my prayer time. Definitely use a lot of work still, but just trying to be more intentional with that. But you mentioned rest, man. I think that's one thing that I need to take consideration because when you're running on fumes, it's hard to show up.
man.
And I have a hard time. Me and Cam talk about this pretty much like every night, right? It's just I get off fairly late sometimes, most of the times, all the time,
Mhm.
and so getting home around 7, spending some time with Emery before it's time for her to go to bed. If I made it home before she's down, and then I don't know what this mindset came from, and so I'm assuming maybe college. I'm not sure, man, but midnight is my time to go to bed. I don't care how early I have to get up. Midnight is my time to go to bed. And I will literally look at the clock. And if it says 9 p.m., I'm like, bro, I got 3 hours to stay up. What can I do with that 3 hours? Right.
Mhm.
Now, unfortunately, I don't end up doing the most productive things during that time. Besides, me and Cam have a conversation, things like that. That's productive. That's good. Building our marriage and relationship. That's amazing. I'm talking about the other periods of time, like, I could be working on some future stuff, right? For the leadership organization program. I could be working on, could be reading a book or something like that. But there's a lot of times, man, it's like my relaxation. It gets like relaxation overload, I guess, to a certain extent.
Mhm.
And then, 12 p.m. roll around. And I think that's the issue too. Me saying I'm going to sleep at midnight, you go upstairs, you don't really go right to sleep, right?
Right.
Like you're sitting up there, staring at the walls, or whatever, trying to get yourself ready to go to sleep. That's another 15, possibly 20 minutes, unless like you're dead beat tired,
Right.
right? And then, like the other day, I think went to bed at midnight, had to be up at 5, right? So be up at 5, and then have to show up because I had to open up the store, so I had to show up, right? Had to be at my best, and I don't have no issue with it because I've done that for forever, so there's no issue with that. But at the same time, I think you bring up a great point of rest has a lot to do with showing up.
Mhm.
If you're not rested, it's hard for you to show up.
Right. No, I agree, man. That's been number one for me since I can remember. Planet days too, especially if you're being pressed on a schedule and stuff, and you're like, I used to be the same way. I'm trying to grind, work on these side projects while I'm working the 9 to 5, and it's like I have to use these 3 hours because that's all I have for today. That I can really dedicate to whatever it is. So you have like the sense of guilt of like I need to use this time. I don't have time to sleep. I've totally been there too. But then by the end of the week, I used to feel this about myself too, man. I'd be like, weekend I recover, and then like Monday, Tuesday I'm solid. Wednesday I'm like, oof, I'm getting it. And then by Thursday and Friday, like thank goodness Friday was like casual Friday, man, because like mentally I was so spent by the time Friday rolled around. And like I did that cycle for years, and I knew it too. But I never was intentional about making a change either. So there I was. Tired on a Friday. Oh man. But good stuff, man.
Showing up, man. So, give your let's wrap it up with this. Give your piece of advice for somebody that's struggling right now. Maybe they're working a lot. Maybe life just it's not where it needs to be, man. What's your advice to them to show up?
I know it's easier said than done because I know when you're in that headspace, it's so hard to get out of it sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess the advice would be, it's bigger than right now. It's bigger than right now, and try and take a step back and look at this big picture. Think about it. If you're, you know, I don't know. I guess you have to think like you have the time, and you're your own worst enemy when you're in that headspace because you're the one that's beating yourself up so much. So, to be present can be difficult, but just know, just a season. There's
Yeah.
the peaks and valleys of life, and if you're in a valley, you know that a peak is coming because it has to. That's how life works. You're not in a valley forever. So just embrace that this is your season that you're in, recognize it, and get on climbing, get up and over it, man.
Good. Good. Awesome, man. Well, hey, y'all. I hope you guys were encouraged by today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, man. Show up, and show out, y'all. The biggest thing that I'm gonna leave y'all with is showing up isn't just for you. Showing up isn't just for you, and I think if you continue to take that mentality and everything that me and Brad talked about today, man, like you'll have a different perspective.
Right.
So show up. Just don't show up for you. Realize that other people are watching. Realize that you have influence. You're a leader. You were created to do this. So show up and show out, y'all. Thank y'all for joining, man. Subscribe wherever it is, subscribe, like, share with people, man. And let's continue to build this tribe and this family together, man. But until next time, y'all, ambitious minds. Peace.
Ambition is priceless. It's something that's in your veins. And I put that on my name. They gon' love me for my ambition.